Welcome back in, everybody. Another week of SEC football laid out before us, and it's one of only 2 weeks the entire season where it's only SEC matchups. That's right, SEC teams playing other SEC teams. That's why we refer to this week as moving week. We're going to have some separation in the field. We're actually going to learn some stuff about some of these teams. So just like always, I'm in here with you. I'm Randy. That's my brother Joe. I affectionately call him the show. We're going to pick all these SEC games for you, a few out of conference too, but more than that, we're really going to have a good time. I appreciate everybody being here. What do you think about it, Joe?
Well, I think I'm getting closer to that 3-game spread we had going on there for a minute.
Okay.
To get back at it, get my groove on. But I feel good about it, man. We got some games going on here. A lot of smack talk about the Auburn Tigers and the Georgia Bulldogs, and we'll get to that in a minute, I'm sure. But, of course, my Georgia State Panthers are rolling. Give it up for my 4-0 Georgia State Panthers here on WRBJRadio.com. And Georgia Southern doing pretty well. Not too bad. They got stomped the other day, but I digress. No, we're doing good, man. Good to be here, ready to pick them. Ready to see how much closer we can get to that prize at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, we'll get to all that in due time. In due time, don't worry, friends. I do have here, just for proof, the very official paperwork is here. So we are in good shape. That's right. We are in good shape with that. So before we get into that, I want to take this opportunity to go ahead and shout out a very special individual who's already in the chat with us tonight. I'm going to throw it on the screen. Derriere says he just became a member of the channel over here at Dan B's. Derriere, thank you very much. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate it very much. We're going to make sure that you feel comfortable and appreciate it. I certainly appreciate you being here with us. I promise I'll do my best to be worthy. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It means everything, literally. Jason's in the chat with us tonight. He's saying hello. What's up? Welcome in, Jason. It's good to have you, brother. We're going to have a good one tonight. Going to pick some of these games here in just a minute and see what's going on. Now, before we do that, Joe, as always, we're going to look ahead to the new week, but let's look back to the last week. Anything from this last weekend surprise you at all? Did it just shake you up in any way?
Not really.
Notre Dame and Ohio State, we're going to, just looking ahead, that's one of the games we're going to pick Notre Dame again this week. We're going to pick their game. Do you have any thoughts on how that one ended?
It ended happily for me. That's how it ended. Because Notre Dame got the L.
Yeah.
And, anytime you give Notre Dame the L, I'm a happy guy. It was closer than I thought it would be. I'll say that. So I was a little surprised at that. But all in all, no, it didn't. Nothing really surprised me throughout the week that I can recall anyway. So.
Yeah, well, that's true. There's so much going on. I mean, we're bouncing around these games, y'all. Like, I mean, we're all busy. Everybody's busy. We're bouncing around these games like nobody's business. I mean, everything last week seemed to sort of set the stage for what we're going to see this week. Like, I'm glancing at some of the games we're going to pick here in a minute right now. Like, I'm cheating. I'm kind of looking ahead, and I'm thinking back. Like Missouri got that win. They went out and got a nice win last week. I believe it was against Memphis, so that was good. Arkansas played a heck of a game against LSU, got out of there. LSU got the win, but barely. Like, that game was a lot closer than I think maybe people thought it was going to be. Ole Miss. I mean, what about Ole Miss, Alabama? What do you think about that? I mean, how that one played out. Lane was out there talking all that junk all week, and then they show up, and Alabama found a way to get the W, man. I mean, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm disappointed in that because I thought that this would be the year that they'd get to talk a little smack in Ole Miss and get the win.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed in that action right there. But, the Memphis game was a little bit of a surprise to me, of course. Yeah. But, I just I don't know, man. I felt like Memphis had a shot. I felt like Ole Miss should have played better. And I'm just curious to see what happens this week as we move along.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to do. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to tie us up here, but I do like to sort of glance back anyway, even if it's just for a second, just to see if anything jumps off the page at you. Because everything I've got to say about all those games I just mentioned, I can actually tie that up when we get into those games this week, when we pick them this week, because I feel like we're going to be touching on some of those same touchstones. Again, everybody, thank you for being here. We're having a good time. I don't think we really have anything else to sort of beat around. I say we just get into picking the games, man. What do you think?
Well, sure. Let's go ahead. I'm just happy to be here. And again, I just want to mention before we get to the pick'ems,
All right.
Joe Show and WRBJRadio.com, always presented by our friends at Eyeballs Marketing and Media. You see them right down there in the fancy corner. Thanks to Randy. I'm pointing the wrong way because I'm looking at But be sure to go by WRBJRadio.com. Check them out. Eyeballs Marketing and Media. Everything you need. If you want to put a logo on it and hammer it, you can do it with Eyeballs Media.
That's right. Look behind Joe. You see that good looking red banner back there? That's courtesy of Eyeballs. So if you need it, they can do it. So put your brand on it. Let's get it taken care of. All right.
Let's pick them.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Now, before we pick them, just one more thing on our way to picking them. Let's do this right here. I'm just going to throw out this reminder, just like our good buddy Derriere. Thank you again so much for becoming a member of the channel. If you look right there at the top of the channel, we have channel memberships available here at A Damn Beast. For as little as $1, you can join the fun, get exclusive content that you're not going to get anywhere else, and you get some fun emojis and things like that set you apart in the chats and things. Everybody knows exactly who is supporting the channel, and I just cannot stress to you how important that is to us, and I appreciate you taking an opportunity with us. So, Joe, let's jump into these games here. Let's just start in the conference. I mean, we could start outside because we don't have that many, but let's start inside because this is an SEC Pick'em show. So I'm looking at Florida and Kentucky. Now, forever, Kentucky could not find a way to beat Florida, right? The streak was something stupid, like 30 years. They couldn't beat Florida in the swamp. And then they go down there a couple of years ago, get that win, or they beat them at home, and then they get the win in Florida last year, and now they're back in Kentucky this year, but the Wildcats are looking for 3 straight over the Gators. Now, I have had a bit of an affinity for Bob Stoops and his Wildcats this year. I think, that they're sort of rounding into the team that I thought they were going to be earlier in the year. I really love their running back. I really think that their quarterback is sort of figuring it out. So I'm still feeling pretty good about Kentucky, but I watched those Gators beat Tennessee in the swamp, just a couple weeks ago. Now, granted, they're on the road this week. How much different is the team on the road than they are at home? This is what I'm wrestling with. I'm going to let you go first, Joe. Kentucky, Florida. What do you think?
Well, I was all about the Gators down there against Tennessee in the swamp, and I got the Gators with a W down there, but you know what? That was at home. And I had to applaud my friends and colleagues that are in my my real professional job in Gainesville, and I had a little bit of heartburn doing that. So I can't do that again.
There cannot be too much Florida love. I appreciate you reaching out, but there cannot be too much Florida love on this channel. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it gave me a little heartburn, as a matter of fact. So to get rid of all that, I'm going to pick Kentucky at home. Florida will not win on the road.
All right. Well, like I said, I have a feeling about Kentucky. I like Kentucky. I know Florida trying to run the ball a little bit better, but I also know that Kentucky has like some All-SEC, All-American candidates on that defensive line. Like I said, I really like their run game, but Florida does have a good defensive line. This one's going to be right there. But I'm going to stay where I'm at. I'm going to pick Kentucky. I'm going to ride those guys until they show me I shouldn't. This might be that week. Because if Florida gets this win against Kentucky, then they clearly have a leg up in the East as far as the overall race is concerned. And they're positioning themselves after a win over Tennessee. I mean, really, they're only looking at, they still have South Carolina, Missouri, and Georgia, but they're going to start to believe in themselves a little bit. But they got to show me. They got to prove it to me. Until then, I'm going to stick on Kentucky as well. So we're not going to do any separation right there. Now, this next game, Texas A&M, a lot happening here, man. A lot going on here. Like I said, Arkansas escaped LSU or didn't get the job done in LSU. LSU barely escaped last week. Pittman, everybody's really starting to rumble about old Sam Pittboss out there. They're like, why can't we have a good offensive line? He used to be an offensive line coach. Doesn't matter that he's not playing with his top running back, right? But KJ Jefferson was awesome last week for Arkansas. I do think they have some issues in the secondary. That secondary that they hoped would be better still seems to be a little leaky, a little unstable. I don't know, man. I am kind of feeling Texas A&M, but see, here's the thing. Just got news yesterday. Connor Wegman out the rest of the year. Ankle injury. Their starting quarterback's gone. Falls to Max Johnson. But Max Johnson's no normal backup quarterback, right? I mean, he started at LSU. He's got a whole bunch of experience inside the conference, and he looked really good last week against Auburn. Granted, that was against Auburn's like third safety and stuff. They had some injury issues going on too. I'm just saying, there's a lot of moving parts in this game. Arkansas needs it. Like Pittman needs it. But Jimbo does too. But even if A&M loses, Jimbo's got the built-in excuse of I lost my starting quarterback. What do you think?
Doesn't matter. All season long, doesn't matter at all. All season long, you've been riding on Arkansas, and I've been talking about my boy Andrew Monaco at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about it. Go ahead and give me the name dropper. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, name dropper.
So I am going to take Texas A&M because that is what I'm going to do, and you're going to take Arkansas because that's what you've been doing.
Oh, see, you think you know somebody? Yeah, I am. I'm going to take Arkansas.
I mean,
I'm going to take Arkansas because I understand that A&M has the better roster, right? I understand that that they don't have Rocket Sanders for Arkansas, but I also believe that everything I said about Max Johnson is true, but I think KJ Jefferson is better. So this is going to be a gut check game for Arkansas. That stung last week in a rivalry game. Can they get themselves back up and get this win? I mean, they're at home. A&M's looked awful on the road, right? So, yeah, I'm on Arkansas. I got those hogs. Go pig. Woo pig. That's what they say. Woo pig. That's where I'm at. All right. Now, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. I have bumped my gums so much on this game this week, and it's been a pleasure to do it. So look around on my channel. You'll see I visited with the nice folks at the E2C Network, Everything Auburn. I went and talked to the Doghouse podcast, chatted with them this week about the Auburn game. This is a wonderful rivalry, wonderful tradition. I love this game. I don't care for Auburn.
I don't care for Auburn. He doesn't care for Auburn.
I mean, that's one of those things that in this household, it's like I said on a TikTok earlier tonight, there are two games that get us riled up. One, the Gators. Florida Gators, that's my game. Two, though, Miss Beast, she's always letting me know.
Auburn.
So it's just one of those things where when those two teams are playing my Georgia Bulldogs, we're going to be fired up about it. So what do you got, Joe?
Well, all I can really tell you is I was in Columbus, Georgia for a period of my professional career, where I had to stay over there near Auburn and Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like them as much now as I didn't like them then. So there's no reason for me to pick Auburn. To hell with the Auburn Tigers. I'm going to.
Well, you know where I'm at. I'm on them dogs. Go Dogs. I think, but I am going to do something I don't usually do. I don't usually do like score predictions or anything like that. I don't know if I look closely, what's the spread on this thing? Like 14, 2 touchdowns. I don't care about the spread really, but I will give you a prediction on this game. And I think the way I see it going is the lines of scrimmage is where Georgia's really going to make their hay. I believe Georgia's going to get this win 35-10. I feel like I'm being generous by giving Auburn 10 points here. I don't know that I actually believe they're going to score 10, but I think that they're going to turn the ball over and maybe that gives the Dogs a short field or maybe even a defensive score, and that's going to push them up to 35. So in this scenario, they do cover. Dogs win, a big road win inside the conference for my Georgia Bulldogs. So
I'm going to tell you, if you wanted to look at the Granny Pick'em for this week on this game, the Granny Pick'em number is 27-13, Georgia. So
for the Dogs, man, she needs a hook. That's a push. Man.
Push.
Okay. Well, this series, man, I was just recounting Like one of my favorite games was the 96 game, right? The first overtime game in the history of the SEC was between Georgia and Auburn. And then there's like the prayer at Jordan Hare, which the bottom line is both teams have had a lot of
emotional damage
when it comes to this series. So you never know exactly what's going to happen, but I am on my dogs. I'm glad to see you're with me. I'm having fun over here. Are you having fun?
That's entertaining. That's
Okay.
entertaining.
All right. Well, ride with me. I'm in control of the panel, so good luck. All right. Moving on. Missouri and Vanderbilt. This, we've hit that point. We've hit that Rubicon where you and I will not go there. Neither one of us are going to go there. So it's like, if you've been following this show, you know I gave Clark Lee one last chance, and he just threw it out the window. So I have no choice. I'm picking the Missouri Tigers. But I think we all know how the show feels about those Tigers. Joe, who you got?
Ain't no way in hell I'm picking Missouri. Ain't no way. I ain't lost a thing in Missouri. I ain't going there. I don't trust them. I don't care if they're at home. I don't care if they're on the road. I don't care if they changed their name. I'm picking Vanderbilt. And we all know how terrible Vanderbilt is. But yeah, I'm picking Vanderbilt.
Oh,
so,
God.
There you go.
Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose, right? So
Somebody's got to win. Come on, Vanderbilt.
We'll figure it out.
3-2.
3-2 on a field goal, or maybe it's a 2-2 tie, right? Like a blocked extra point you take back for 2 or something, plus a safety, 2-2. They'll tie. I don't know. Can't tie anymore. Somebody's got to win. 5-2. We'll go with that as the final score. How's that work?
There you go. We had a high school football game. Hey, the other night we had a high school football game here in the state of Georgia, where my friends down in South Georgia at Jeff Davis High School won a football game, and the final score, Randy, was 2-0.
2-0.
They won.
We joke about
if Jeff Davis can do it, Vanderbilt can do it. Come on.
2-0. Look, if this were a baseball game, this would be a pretty intriguing game. And that 5-3 or 5-2 score, that'd be a good ball game. And these are two good baseball universities. But too bad we're not playing baseball right now. That's okay, though. We'll get there soon enough. All right, Joe, moving on. LSU and Ole Miss. Now, this game, man, I've already told you, LSU escaped Arkansas last week at home. I mean, the Razorbacks had on the all reds. They gave them everything they wanted. And there's been a lot of talk about Jaden Daniels and how he's elevated his game, and he's up in the all SEC discussion at quarterback and so on and so forth. He's being, buoyed as a guy that could be what is the difference for LSU, leads them into that national competition at the end of the year. I don't know. I mean, I know he's better, but I'm still not sold on him completely. And then if you look at Ole Miss, where is Quinshawn Judkins? Where is he? What is going on with this dude who rushed for 1,500 yards last year, and now he's like non-existent? And Lane Kiffin spent the first half of the season, like the first 3 games, running his quarterback like he was Tim Tebow or something, or KJ Jefferson. And then last week against Alabama, like I think there were 2 called quarterback runs, and then they just let it go, didn't do it anymore. What is going on with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and your blue pants, Joe? What's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've called on the blue pants enough, and he just keeps, pissing in my blue pants. I can't win with him every time I pick him. So I'm off of the blue pants. I'm going with LSU.
You've been burned enough.
Been burned enough.
Oh,
take old pale blue pants and move on.
Socks are wet, man. He's been peeing down his legs so much. All right, hey, before I make my pick, let's get back to the chat here. I see we got a little Herman Rogers in here with us. Welcome back in, Herbs. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see y'all back in here with us again. I like that. That makes me feel really good, dude. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys making time to join us.
And guy I don't know, but yet clearly knows his stuff. That's right.
That's right. Yeah, well, he's just calling it like he sees it. That's what I'm saying. And then he's letting us know because, his Alabama Crimson Tide, they stepped up and put an L on those Ole Miss Rebels last week. And he's just letting us know Judkins is just nowhere to be found. I don't know what's going on, but I really don't. The kid thought he was going to be a central part of the offense when I talked to him at SEC Media Days. Like, everybody thought that's what was going to happen. And I have no idea what's going on over there. And Herb may be right here. Lane's taking them as far as he can. That could very well be true. He may, I mean, I know he's getting, is there another coach that's getting paid as much to do as little as Lane Kiffin is right now? Like, he's making like $9 million a year, and the Rebels are going to go like 7, maybe. Okay, I forgot Jimbo Fisher exists. I forgot that. I forgot that that's happening. But I'm just saying, man, I mean, at this point, and the way he's having a rough year, there's some off the field stuff with Lane over there, and players, you know, recording him without him knowing and leaking it and stuff. It's kind of ugly over at Ole Miss right now. I don't know what's going on over there. So with all that said, I would like to believe this is the week that maybe they sort it out a little bit and get a win. I mean, they are at home, but I can't do it. Like, I can't make myself do it. I have to be on LSU too.
I agree. There you go.
That's man, Ole Miss. I don't know how I got on that like soapbox there all of a sudden, but I didn't know I had such feelings. I felt some kind of way about that. Didn't even realize it. That was snuck up on me a little bit right there. All right. So here we go. South Carolina and Tennessee. Oh, Joe, I got a lot to say about this game. Got a lot to say about this game. Before I do, you got anything to say about this game?
I was just looking at it on the schedule going, man, I tell you what, I think it's going to be just like Georgia State went up to Tennessee and won a few years ago in Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think will happen here with South Carolina. I told you South Carolina knows who they are. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to go up there to Tennessee, and they're going to punch Tennessee in the mouth, and Rattler's going to have a big day. And I think Tennessee is going to I don't know how they're going to get out of the stadium. I don't know if they're going to be throwing corn cobs at them or what they're going to be throwing that's yellow up there, but they're going to be throwing something at them boys because I think South Carolina goes on the road and gets a big win in the conference.
I talked all off season about what it would mean for Tennessee football if they went to the Swamp and lost. And I was right. If you listen to Tennessee fans right now, they are like, we suck. We're going 8-4. Heupel should be fired. We need to play the freshmen. Like, they're just ripping themselves apart, right? That's with them, you know, still hanging in there with a winning record. What are they right now? 3-1. But they know that those 3 wins are, you know, whatever. It's nothing that you're going to be impressed about. Virginia, not good. And Austin P, not great, right? And then whoever the Roadrunners, UTSA, they beat them last week. I mean, the one team that they, you know, could line up with them and play, like, crushed them, like physically crushed them. So I tell you, you might be onto something. If they lose this game against South Carolina, remember, Joe, this is the revenge game, right? Because South Carolina hung a 60-piece on them with 3 dipping sauces, right? They put it on them at night last year, blew everybody's mind, and I mean, Spencer threw for 6 touchdowns. They, like, bossed those dudes last year. And all you heard was get back. All right, here's an interesting thing. I heard this week, Joe. It's not mine. I didn't come up with it, but I'm going to steal it. Tennessee has worn a different uniform every game this year. Every game. They're trying to be the Oregon of the SEC. And this week, it's dark mode in Tennessee. Black unis with the orange letters. Just like their 9-play gimmicky offense. That's right. They only have 9 plays. Read half a field. Gimmicky offense. Now they're going to the gimmicks with the uniforms to try to gin up the excitement. Revenge this. I mean, what are they doing?
When your selling point is trying to wear different uniforms every week, everybody in the house knows that somebody has pooped the bed, all right? Everybody in the house knows that. They're like, look, shiny thing over here. This is on fire. This is bad. So if that's the case, oh, dear Lord, man.
Okay.
I mean, just write Tennessee a love letter and, you know, throw it out in the ocean in a bottle, do what you want to do. It doesn't matter. Those boys about to get hammered by Rattler again in Tennessee.
My gosh. Oh my God.
That's what's going to happen.
Well, listen, I don't think I don't think there's a single lie in anything I just said right there. I think I'm telling the straight up truth. All day, I was talking myself into picking Spencer Rattler. And but then I remember they don't have a running game or they're trying to find one. I think I'm going to pick Tennessee, Joe. I think I'm going to pick Tennessee because the way South Carolina played against Georgia, they did pretty well in the first half, but when Georgia started running the ball better, that's when they made some hay in the second half. I don't trust Milton at all, okay? I don't trust Heupel at all. But, and I don't even know why I trust their offensive line, but the Tennessee Vols have been able to run the football this year, and I think that they're going to run the ball.
Who did they run the ball on? Austin P?
Well, no. You know what? You know what, Joe? All right. I'm doing this in front of the world and everybody. You are right. I'm going to just say thank you for throwing me a life preserver. South Carolina goes to Rocky Top, gets the W. I got zero faith in Knoxville and those Volunteers. There we go. That's it. We had a chance for separation. Thank you, Joe. See, that's what a brother does for another brother. He's like, don't be stupid. That's right.
Well, when you go out there and you're talking about Tennessee's able to run the ball, and it's like Austin P and the UTSU or whatever.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it.
That's true. Like I said, I spent all day thinking South Carolina, and then I had that little voice. But see, I know you care about me, bro. I know you care about me.
Bruh.
Right.
Dude, Herb, I got zero confidence, dog. Zero confidence. I mean, like, no confidence in Tennessee. I don't know what I was doing, but I'm on South Carolina. Let the record show, without equivocation, I'm on South Carolina. So, man, all right, I'm going to be watching. All right, now, speaking of Herb and Raj and the Alabama boys, we are finally down to the Tide Mississippi State. Now, Joe, who is Mississippi State right now? Because against LSU, they were like, I don't know what they were. They looked like they had just skipped practice all week and then rolled up, hung over, and played that game against LSU. They looked really, really inept. Didn't they come out last week against South Carolina? And Will Rogers is throwing the ball all over the yard, right? It looks like he just flashed back to last season, and they found a go wide receiver who had, I think he might have had 200 yards receiving or something like that. I don't know who Mississippi State is. Honestly, I mean, I'm just being real with you. And Alabama, and I said this last week, and it looks like I might have been right. They are going to have to get comfortable running the ball, playing great defense, and winning 20-13. The thing is, if they do that and they let Mississippi State and Will Rogers hang around, right, then you can get stung if you bust the coverage, and now you're losing. So I really don't know. They're on the road. We saw them go on the road to USF, and that didn't go well. And now they're down there in the middle of all them cowbells. Man, what are we going to do here? What do you got? Who you got? I don't know.
What time is this game
in
being
real
played?
time right now?
I can't see that little screen. What time is that game played?
Oh, gosh. It's a 9 o'clock kickoff. 9 o'clock on ESPN.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. They got to hang out all day.
14-point spread there, they're saying, for Bama?
14.5. Yep.
Yeah. No, I have a good friend of mine, real good friend of mine from Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi.
And old Derek Rogers, if he sees this, he'll be proud.
Okay.
I'll hang my hat with that man any day of the week. Mississippi State and them Cowbells are going to beat Alabama in Mississippi State. Alabama's not going to be able to move the ball, and Mississippi State's going to get the win. It's going to be a win. Let's say it's going to be 20 to 10 or 20 to 7, something like that. Mississippi State's going to get the win in Mississippi State.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
I'm telling you, Herb, cover your ears, dog. Joe just picked against your Tide. I don't know. Like I said, I'm picking this in real time. I'm thinking it through here with all of you guys. I mean, what I've seen from Alabama, and I just don't know what to make of Mississippi State right now. I think I'm gonna have to defer to Alabama's ability on defense to get after Will Rogers enough to make the difference here. So I'm gonna go with Alabama. but I'm not feeling great about it, just simply because, I saw them on offense, and they are Jekyll and Hyde right now on offense. So I'm going.
My pug doesn't even know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alabama. So I'm on Alabama here. Joe's on Mississippi State, though. So is the granny pick is in. It's for Mississippi State. Shout out to our mom. She's in the chat with us. Her friend Andrew's here. What's up, y'all? We're having a good time, and she is on Mississippi State with you. So Herb's checking in with us here. Not sure why you'd want to be bold. Oh, that's true. Ooh. That's crazy, man. Mississippi. I tell you, look, we gave up on Kiffin, right? Joe gave up on Kiffin. I'm kind of giving up on Kiffin. So I don't know.
Let me tell you, this is what I think, or really, in this game, Randy, this is what I'm thinking. There's always one of those games where Mississippi State in the college football season comes out and they just look terrific, right? I mean, they come out and it's all guns blazing, everything's right, and that's it happens once a year, it seems like. And this is a night game, 9 o'clock, ESPN primetime game. Going to be all day of cowbell and drinking, and you're going to see Mississippi State come out here, and I think they're going to get the job done. It's going to be their one this year where they go out there and they play a almost complete football game.
Well, I will say this. I will say that if they don't get after Will Rogers, if they let him do his thing, then Alabama's in trouble, because they're not going to outscore. If Mississippi State shows us they can score, Alabama's not going to outscore them, I don't think. And, we saw Alabama get roasted last year, their secondary against Tennessee, and in other games. They've got some new guys back there. But still, if they don't get home, Mississippi State could shock the world here. But like I said, I'm on Alabama for the record. So that takes care of the SEC slate right there. So what we're going to do now is look outside the footprint, and we are going to pick not a bunch, but just, just a handful of games here, including one that's going to kick off here pretty soon. We got a little Friday night action out in the Pac, used to be 12. The Utah Utes, we still don't know if they've got Cam Rising back. The Coach Whittingham wouldn't tell us. He's practiced this week. We don't know if he's going to go. They were awful on offense last week for a bunch of reasons, So they're a top 10 team, man. They're a good team. If they have Rising, that ranking is deserved. If they don't have Rising, they shouldn't be a top 25 team based on the way they played last week. Yeesh. And then you got Oregon State, who took the loss last week to Wazoo. And, I mean, I didn't watch the game. I saw some highlights. Wazoo looked good. I'm like, that away. Good after him, Cougs. Even though I missed the game because I was on Oregon State last week. So, I don't know, man. This was going to be interesting. Do we take a chance? Do we believe that Rising plays? I think that's what it comes down to.
Ugh. Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Because you go out there to Oregon State, and that's just, I don't know. There's something about Oregon State that's just a weird place to play football to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just a weird place to play.
Well, before you go any further, I mean, they feel like they're pretty good. And when they feel like they're pretty good, national television audience, night game out there, evening game out there, night game here on the East Coast. I mean, that place, like you said, can be a tough place to play. They used to refer to it as a snake pit, a viper pit, right? They get all riled up and little bitty box stadium, but it gets real loud, And I mean, it's like
the matchbox of college football.
Yeah, right. And Oregon State can run the football a little bit, but so can Utah. And we know Utah's physical. I wish I knew if Rising was playing. Man, because doesn't everybody wish they knew if he was playing? So I'm on the Beavers. Give me Oregon State because I don't know about Rising. I think Oregon State's going to run the football enough. Unless DJU turns the ball over and gives the game away, Beavers get it done. I'm on Oregon State.
All right. Well, since you're going to take the Beavers, I was sitting here looking at the line, wondering if people knew what they were talking about with that. But I will go with
Oh, I didn't even
Utah.
look.
I think that Utah will go get the win. I will
Okay.
take the Utes.
Okay, good. This is a flip 'em game. Flip a coin. I don't know. I mean, I didn't even look at the line. I didn't even realize Oregon State was favored. But apparently they are. So, and that's probably the Rising effect, right? We don't know if he's going to play, because if he plays, I would take Utah to kind of beat him up, right? But I don't know. So therefore, I'm on Oregon State. Oh, that's cool. I'm interested in that one now, like more than I was. I was going to watch it anyway. But moving along. So let's keep it in the top 25 here. This is a sneaky top 25 game because the Texas Longhorns are in it, but it's the Kansas Jayhawks on the other side traveling to Austin. That big old beak, that cartoon Jayhawk they got out there. I love it. It's awesome. Their quarterback, Joe, he's a player. I like him. I think it's Jalen Daniels, I think is his name. Very close to Jaden, not Jaden, Jalen. Jalen Daniels, I believe is his name. That kid's a player. We all know Texas is pretty good. Apparently they're back or something or other. And here's the thing. Next week, they have to take on a really good-looking Oklahoma team in the Red River Rivalry. How grown up is Texas? Can they focus on their business and beat a pretty good Kansas team who beat them in Austin in 21? Can they focus, get that win before the Red River Rivalry? Joe, let me have it.
Man, you kind of set me up there to talk about.
See, I did it, man. I did it. Set you up, gave you what you need to know.
Set me up. I don't know. But here's what I can tell you.
All right.
The Kansas Jayhawks uniforms are one of the craziest looking things I've ever seen in my life. Looks like Toucan Sam out there playing football. I don't like it. I'm going with Texas.
He's on the Longhorns. Well, just to be a contrarian and give you a chance to climb back in this race, put me on the Jayhawks. Why not? They're going to go down there and take on Texas. They're going to show up, throw it all around the yard. He's going to run around, make that defensive line tired for Texas. Kansas Jayhawks, Joe, going to shock the world and beat the Texas Longhorns in Austin this weekend. Yeah?
All right.
You feeling it? All right. Am I sold you on it yet? I'm trying real hard.
Trap game. So, you know.
that's really where I'm hanging my hat. I just don't know that I don't know that I believe Texas has grown up enough to handle their business. We'll see. I mean, but you know, I just don't buy it just yet. So we'll see. Okay. This is the last one of the week outside the conference. And it's Notre Dame. But coming off of that game last week where they had the nation's attention, now they travel down to play Duke. College game day is going to be there, Joe. Mike Elko and the Duke Blue Devils still riding high, undefeated. Here come the Golden Domers. Joe, who's going to win this game?
Well, look, I'm sitting here trying to find good reasons to list because you know there ain't no way in Sam Pittman's ass I'm going to pick Notre Dame. I just ain't going to do it. Ain't going to do it. You ain't going to get a woo pig sue. We ain't nothing. And that's the same for Notre Dame. I wouldn't pick them. If you made me, I'd quit. But I'm going to pick Duke to go undefeated, momentous win at home with ESPN there. Notre Dame is going to be embarrassed by the Dukies.
Okay. They've got some kind of winning streak or something going on. I didn't look it up because, frankly, I don't care. But Notre Dame is in the ACC, except that they're not in the ACC because they still want to hold on to that, thing they got going on. But all they do is play SEC teams and other no-count independents. So whatever. Yeah. But they've got some streak about winning ACC games. Not that means anything, but that's what they got going on. But see, here's the thing. Last week, how did that game end against Ohio State, Joe? It ended with 10 Notre Dame players on the field on defense for the biggest play of the season. They couldn't even get lined up right. And as if that weren't bad enough, 2 days later, I was reminded that was not the first time this year they have been on the field with 10 defensive players and just nobody noticed. Like, nobody cared.
Well, actually, I saw I cut you off here, but I actually saw, a quote from the coach about that game. and he was saying that, they didn't have any more timeouts, couldn't take a penalty at that point, and he knew they only had 10 players on the field. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, and you're still, how did you get to this point and you have 10 players on the field? That's terrible. And I think if that's what you got, then go Duke.
What? I mean, maybe I'm just missing it right here because I'm so fired up and I can't think straight. But why couldn't he take the penalty? What are you going to get? A centimeter? Half the distance to the goal? Take the penalty. Whatever.
I know. That's what I was saying. I'm like, that's not a good answer. That's not a good reason.
Have your dude jump offside. Lay down in the end zone. I'm hurt. I got a cramp in my big toe. Whatever. Stop the game. Good Lord, man. So like I said, this was the second time that this has happened. Somebody pointed that out this week. That once, whatever, anything can happen. But this is clearly not the first time. It is, I don't know if you call it a pattern, but it's certainly headed that way. And for as much talk as this head coach has gotten for being the next big thing, I just don't know, man. I don't know. Look, you're not able to get lined up or whatever. Long story short, I'm going to cut to the chase here. I'm on the Fighting Elkos. Give me Duke. Give me those athletic corners I saw play against Clemson. Although at this point, maybe Clemson's just that bad. but I'm just saying, at this point,
Duke.
Give me Duke. That's right. Give me Duke. Get a big win at home. They're going to storm the field on the Golden Domers because College Game Day's there. Dukies. Right. Yep, that's where I'm at. Did I cut you off there? Was there something else you wanted to tag that with?
Yeah, okay. I like it.
All right. Well, like I said, but before we go, I mean, we kind of come to the end of our string here. But before we go, Joe, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I know you haven't watched as many as I have, but this is the week of the Deep South's oldest rivalry between Georgia and Auburn. Do you have a favorite memory from this series? Any game that you've seen or been to or anything like that? Because, like I said, I could pick from a handful of games. But if you've got one, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I don't remember the year, because I'm just not as good as the detail there as you are, Randy, with those games in the recall. But I remember Uga trying to bite the ball sack of an Auburn player, whatever game that was.
That was 96. That was 96.
That's my fave right there. I get a chuckle out of that anytime I see it. So I'm happy to see that anytime.
Man, I tell you what, there's a lot of good stuff to look at. A lot of good news this week on the injury front for Georgia. They could go out there and surprise all of us and just blow Auburn out of the water. But I like I said earlier, I don't really think that's how it's going to go. I do feel that Georgia's going to get the win, though. But the way this season's gone for Georgia, among Georgia fans, there's going to still be folks out there saying it was Auburn. It doesn't matter. Auburn, whatever. Find something to complain about. Go tell somebody else, because I'm trying to enjoy my football season, man. And then my dogs are sitting here trying to get to 5-0. So that's where I'm at on that.
I'll tell you this. The only other Auburn memory that I'll share with you is in the Auburn Hail Mary win, whatever that game's called, where they threw it and it tipped off a player.
The prayer at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah. I was standing in a steakhouse in Warner Robins, Georgia, waiting to be seated, watching this on the TV. And I'm like, oh, look, Georgia's going to win. I'm standing in the hostess like, Powers table for 4. And I look up and I see that. And I'm like, what? What just happened? And then I had to go try to eat a steak. Ruined my dinner. Right there.
Oh, that game sucked.
Right there, walking on some peanut shells in Warner Robins.
Oh,
whatever
man.
that steakhouse is that throws peanuts on the floor. I don't remember.
Oh, gosh. Was that Roadhouse? Logan's Roadhouse or something like that?
Yeah, Logan's. It's Roadhouse, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I tell you
that's what I was doing when that game happened.
And you know what's messed up about that game is and it just speaks to what that series is. Nick Marshall, who threw that touchdown pass, had been at the University of Georgia and transferred out because he wanted to play quarterback, right? Georgia wanted him as a DB. He's like, I'm going to go play quarterback. Then we get into that game. They're running the RPO game and all that, and it's back and forth, and they come back, and he just chunks it. He didn't look. He just chunked it. Dude's supposed to be there. And the guy who jumped up didn't make the catch, right? It bounced off his face or whatever, shoulder pad. Yeah. That dude then transferred from Georgia over to Auburn and wound up playing for Auburn like 2 years later. Trey Matthews. This series is so sort of, I don't know if I can say the word incestuous here on YouTube. There's just so many like little tendrils that tie these two schools together. That's why it's a good rivalry. That's why it sucks when you lose it. It's just one of those things. But for so long, man, every time, again, being a Gen Xer and being a Bulldog fan forever, it seemed like every year that the Dogs had a chance to do something, Auburn would rise up and just crush their dreams. That's the way it felt to me as a young Georgia student, And the run that Georgia's currently on, where they are just laying the hammer down on these Auburn Tigers every chance they get, is sweet as can be. I'm not saying I don't want them to crush them. I want them to crush them. Not as bad as I want Georgia to beat Florida every year, but I want them to know that they just got whipped when we play Auburn. That's a fact. But
here's the thing that I'm curious of.
Man,
Auburn had that sensational idea to come out with the orange face masks. Was that last year?
Well, I think they still wear them. I think they had them on last week on the road. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, is that a thing still? Is that a big thing? Are they going to come out in this Georgia game and be like, orange face mask? I just wonder.
No, I expect they'll be like dressed down in their traditionals, is what I think is going to happen. And just a footnote, just a kind of just talking about how tied the teams are, how close they are together and stuff. This weekend, Pat Dye is going to be recognized at Auburn. Now, if you know anything about the history of this, you know that Pat Dye was a Georgia man who then went on to be a historic coach at Auburn, right? I believe he was also their AD, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be recognized at Auburn at the Georgia game. So, it's just another one of those moments where the two schools are just tied together. The Deep South's oldest rivalry I'm thankful that we get to keep playing it every year. Fingers crossed that's hope, that's how this goes with expansion and realignment and all that talk. I just want to keep playing Auburn because when you've played this long and have just, again, no team has put the screws to Georgia's championship hopes more often than the Auburn Tigers. So every time that Georgia beats Auburn, that is a good day. You need to find some way to celebrate, kiss your girl, your friend, your boy, however it works for you. You need to celebrate because Georgia-Auburn is a game that, in my opinion, is it's a college football treasure. You know what I mean? I think I was listening to Cole Kubelik, who used to play for Auburn. He said something today about, especially when he was in school, which was the same time I was in school. So we're talking about like the late 90s. This game, there was like 30% of the Auburn roster that was from the state of Georgia. So at that time, they played the game at the end of the year, right before the Iron Bowl against Alabama. So the way it worked essentially was the Georgia-Auburn game was the Iron Bowl for those Georgia players when they would play Georgia. So the other Auburn players wanted to help them win that game, and then they would turn around the next week and play Alabama in the Iron Bowl. So all the Georgia dudes wanted to help their Alabama teammates beat Alabama. And, I just thought that was a really cool story. And I thought it was really cool that he was willing to share it because I'd never thought about it that way. But again, that's why it mattered so much. In today's world of the portal and, everything that's going on, I don't know that their roster is that deep with Georgia players, but back in the day, that's what this rivalry was all about. So, again, I'm fired up. There's 2 games that I'm going to make sure I don't miss. It's Auburn and Florida, and this week is one of those weekends. So do yourselves a favor, dial it up. 3:30 CBS this week. We're going to get a lot of good action over there on the Plains. I think it's going to be a Georgia W. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I even gave a score prediction. That's not something I usually do. Joe, before we get out of here, I want to take the opportunity and say, again, thanks to everybody that was in the chat with us tonight. Our friend Harry showed up. What's up, Harry? It's good to see you, friend. He's like, I just got here. Everybody's doing good, man. We've had a heck of a show. Roll it back, watch the rewind. We've had a good time. Joe didn't get in the brown water this week, at least not yet.
No, I had to go get some shots put in my back yesterday. So I'm like, I don't know if I need to mix all that juju up in here. I don't know what happened.
Playing hurt, baby. Show it up. That's what we're doing. Playing hurt. Day to day.
Game time decision every day.
Oh, man, that's how we run this thing. Day to day, all the time, day to day. we keeping it real up in here. So,
but I will tell you this before we go. I will say this about the Georgia Auburn game.
Yeah.
There is a piece of me that is concerned about Georgia going to Auburn, and it is going to be a ruckus game, a ruckus crowd. And I'm wondering if this young team, I'm curious to see if they will keep their head, and if quarterback can come out there and do what he needs to do, and the defense can keep their head, because it's going to be a ruckus environment. I don't doubt that at all. So
yeah. I said on those podcasts this week, if it works out to where it's close at the half, I'm not going to be surprised at all. Now, if it's a one-score game at the half or something, I'm not going to be in the least surprised. But and I mentioned this as one of the games that you needed to put a red flashing light by for Georgia this year. This one and the Ole Miss game, because everybody wanted to look at Tennessee. I'm like, pay attention. There are things going on here that you just don't take it for granted, right? You got to show up and play this game. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Like I said, you know where I'm at. I think they're going to be all right. But it's
I think this will be the game that kind of a benchmark game, if you will, for Georgia this season. We talk about the offensive line for Georgia. We talk about being able to run the ball.
Yep.
This is going to be a physical game, and we're going to see if Georgia is going to be able to assert their will, or if they're going to get pushed around. I have no doubt about that. I think that it's going to be a game they're going to be challenged, and we're going to see what we thought we would see in South Carolina.
Well, it's like Harry says right here, depth is going to be the issue. I was just going to point out that, Auburn has talented, big players on the defensive line. They got big dudes that can move. Number 9, Asante, is a real player. But at the end of the day, this does look a lot like the South Carolina model, right? You're fighting it out in the first half, and then in the second half, you do what you're supposed to do. And again, I hate to say supposed to, because that's expectations and that's a fan word. That's not, the team doesn't care about any of that, but that's what we do as fans. We're like, I want to see X, Y, and Z. So, but I'm with you. I think this could be a statement game. There's still going to be people, if Georgia, like I said, if they win by my score, if it's 35-10, there's still going to be people who are just going to have something to say about it. But that's the way it is. That's the way it goes. And there's not much. We can't solve all the world's problems here in an hour, Joe, but we're trying. We're trying. All right. So before we get out of here, I want to take this opportunity one more time to welcome Derriere as the member, a member here on the channel on YouTube. Thank you so much for that support. We appreciate it. And if you want to join Derriere and become a member of the channel, it's very easy. The little join button right there at the top. You can do it for as little as $1. Join us. And we're going to have a good time. You get exclusive dogs content and much, much more. So thank you, Derriere. Thank you for being here with us. Joe, parting shot before we get out of here.
Well, I'll just say that, wear your blue for my Dookies out there. And like Randy said, if you want to get some really good content, be sure and join that channel. It is something where I'm going to say I'm an unbiased player in this, but I'm really not. But you're not going to find better University of Georgia content anywhere in the land than what you'll find there on that channel. Really easy access to get to it, just $1 to get in there. And of course, I say thanks to my sponsors here, Eyeballs Marketing and Media. Be sure to check them out at WRBJradio.com, where you can hear Randy's exclusive content like you get here on our station on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. And you can find all kinds of other good music, Georgia State football, and more right there, including the Rob, Ben, and Joe Show at WRBJradio.com.
That's right. If you love high school football, that's the place to be every Friday night from 10 to midnight. Check them out. You can find them, no problem, WRBJradio.com. Before we go, got to remind you all.
Auburn sucks.
Hey, Joe, can I get a Go Dogs? I haven't gotten one yet. Can I get one for the Deep South's oldest rivalry?
Oh, yeah. You better give that Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. We'll see y'all on the other side. Y'all have a great college football weekend.